Here we go. Yes, sir. Welcome everybody to Bitcoiner's Guide. This is episode 2. I am your host. We are your host, Sean and Anon, here today, Big Sean Harris with RD_BTC from the Meme Factory, of course, as usual. And obligatory first question, RD, how's your trade going?
Awesome, man. Hodling.
Hodling.
As always, same trade.
Same trade. Yep, that's true. The first 3 rules of Bitcoin: don't short the corn, don't trade the corn, and don't sell the corn. And the corn is Bitcoin. So that's definitely the right trade to be in. This week, a lot of things have happened. And as far as Bitcoiner's Guide, we are your weekly news update, and we also give some free lessons. So free lessons as far as terms and ideas on what Bitcoin is. If you're just getting into Bitcoin, or if you want a refresher on what is Bitcoin, and we don't get too technical around here. We keep it at a good level, and we welcome anyone from all walks of life. I guess the only requirement is that you can understand English. So this week, there's been a lot of things going on. Obviously, the biggest thing on most people's minds has been the war in Ukraine with Russia, as well as there was this State of the Union address with President Biden. And there was also Jay Powell testified before Congress. It did his semi-annual report on monetary policy. So we're going to get into some of those things. There's still COVID going around. And so that's also something on people's minds. And, we have a lot of topics to cover today. RD, do you have some topics that you wanted to get in before we start?
No, man, just roll with your stuff.
All right, awesome. I think that's a great way to do it. I wanted to hand out a little free lesson to start off, and something that's been on my mind a lot lately has kind of been with everything that's gone on in Canada and things that are going on in Russia right now. I wanted to talk about what is money and kind of get into the properties of money, because lately I've been hearing a lot of people, when I talk to them about Bitcoin, they'll say, well, if we all agreed that shoes were a currency, then shoes would be the money that we use. Or if laptops were all a currency, if we all agreed on it, then it'd be laptops. And it's like, no, that's not true. Money has certain properties to it. And this is where a lot of people don't understand about what Bitcoin is. It's not a stock. It's not some high value tech stock that you're looking at. It is a new form of money, and it's money in its finest, at its finest. And so just wanted to talk about some certain properties of money and what makes Bitcoin sound money or hard money. And the things that I've noticed the most when it comes to the properties of money are you want to have something that, things that can't be counterfeited. So you want to make sure that your money cannot be counterfeited at all. And if you look at the US dollar, right, the US dollar is something that, we don't counterfeit it as humans. We can't counterfeit it. But the US government or other governments can counterfeit it by printing money. Another thing about money, a good principle of money, is divisibility. And so you want your money to be able to break down into certain parts. So if you have a dollar, you want it to break down into quarters, dimes, nickels, pennies. And if you have a pound, like the English do, you want it to be able to break down into p or into pence, right? I think that's right.
Yep.
And so you want it to be divisible. You want it to not be counterfeited, which is another term for scarce, right? That was the first thing. You want it to be scarce. You want it to be durable. your money should be able to last for a long time. If you wash it in your jeans, or if it's just you want your money to be able to last. So that's durability. You want it to be portable. You can easily take it from here to the other side of the world. That's also something that you want to have in your money. And then you want it to be recognizable. If RD and I are exchanging money, we want that to be recognized, that he's giving me what he says he's giving me, and I can recognize that it's actually true. And so I think with those 5 properties that we talked about: scarcity, divisibility, durability, portability, and recognizability, those are some properties that you're looking at when you're talking about what makes money sound and what makes money a good money to use. And Bitcoin is the best money at all of those, with scarcity kind of being that the biggest part of it. And scarcity is so huge, like we talked about last week, 21 million Bitcoin, and there will never be any more Bitcoin. So I think that's also something. And Artie, did you have anything to include on that, as far as, what for you, what is money? What makes a good sound money?
Well, what I'd add is that Bitcoin fulfills all the properties of money, but not just fulfills them, it trumps everything that we've already used as money previously. So especially, we know with scarcity, only 21 million Bitcoins. So nothing else we've ever used for money has been finite. So that makes it inflation proof. And also, I think for me, which is relevant with what's going on in Ukraine, portability. So you can take your Bitcoin with you anywhere in the world, and it's recognizable anywhere in the world, exactly the same as it was wherever you left, which I think, we'll probably go on to the situation in Ukraine, but I've been pointing this out to a lot of people recently, that a lot of guys that are escaping the Ukraine right now are able to take their wealth with them. This is a totally different situation to previous war zone situations.
Yeah.
People can leave and take their entire wealth with them, and they've never been able to do that before. So that's a big deal, really. And that, like all of the things that Bitcoin does is, like I said, trumps all other money, but particularly these 2 that I've mentioned, and I feel like they're relevant right now.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because, in years ago, when I'd been talking to people about Bitcoin, and I mentioned some of those properties, or I mentioned, that it's something that you can take with you whenever you need it, and there's nothing that anyone can do to stop you. Before, it was kind of just shrugged off, like, okay, well, when is that going to be necessary? Or, when you talk about, like, is it truly your money if someone else has the power to shut it off, or if someone else has the power to devalue it, or if someone else has the power to seize it or to freeze it? Is it truly your money? And a couple of years ago, when you talk to someone about this, they don't even think that that's a possibility. And then you look at what happened in Canada with some of the people who donated to the trucker convoy. You look at what's going on in Russia and Ukraine, and I think people are starting to understand that it's becoming a bigger possibility, and it's becoming a necessity to have that optionality to take your money and leave if you want to, and that no government, no bank, no one can do anything to stop you.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's just like we've never really had that before. With gold, and especially gold. But
Yeah.
the problem with that was portability, and the ability to confiscate it was so easy. So Bitcoin really changes the game. It's
Yeah.
like gold, but better.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess that, and that's why a lot of people call it digital gold, but it is, on a whole nother level than what even I would imagine digital gold could be. And so, and you hear these old tales of people leaving their countries and they're putting their gold up their butts just to take it somewhere. And because it's gonna get taken away from them if they don't hide it somewhere. And so with Bitcoin, it's something you can put in your brain. You can give your butt a little relaxer. You don't need to worry about that. And you can put the keys right in your brain, and you can memorize that. Or you can do there's a lot of other ways you can figure it out how to take it with you without getting it confiscated. And what's interesting is I just saw on Zero Hedge that even Russian gold is now getting banned. And so it's interesting. Just in other news in general, Russia continues to get banned from everything under the sun. And I wanted to kind of take a deep dive into some of the companies and organizations that have fully or partially left Russia in the last week or so. Some of those companies are Instagram, Snapchat, YouTube, Zoom, which we're using right now, Amazon, Spotify, and PayPal, amongst many others. And then as well as the Visa and MasterCard payment rails. So it's interesting because, like these companies have left the Russian market, but not just against the Russian government, but including your everyday citizen. And it seems like it's like an attempt to cause a coup from Russian civilians to the capital in Moscow. And I'm not a war expert, so I don't really know too much about why those things are happening. But I do want the war to end out there as much as anyone. And it does seem like an admirable thing, but I do have some fears that may cause some backfiring and just make Russia grit their teeth even more in Ukraine.
I'm not sure it will change many people's minds. Yeah, if they were staunch supporters of Putin anyway,
Yeah.
these actions will not change their minds anyway. But I suspect that at least half the Russian population are probably not supporters of Putin. So those guys don't need their minds changed, and now they've just lost all their favorite apps. So it's not great. Yeah,
It
sure.
is. Yeah.
Like I was going to say, I'm not a war expert either, but I don't honestly see how that's going to pan out. I don't. If it is to incentivize a coup, then we shall see. I'm not convinced myself.
Yeah. It's hard to see, that your average everyday Russian citizens are going to cause a coup to the Russian government. And just because, other countries are blocking them from using their favorite apps and from payment rails. But I did kind of find it funny just watching people on social media they're pouring out Russian vodka that they've already paid for. Or even worse was, did you see that that they were banned? Russian cats were banned from international competitions. So you got to make sure that you ban those war-hungry cats. That's the number one thing that you got.
Yeah, I saw a comment on it was because they the F1 I think have banned, or the team that a Russian driver racing for, Haas I think the team is, just ended the contract with the Russian driver, basically sacked him. And I saw in the Twitter comments, not sure what role he played in the Russian invasion of Ukraine.
Yeah. He's out here just trying to work like everybody else. And I'm not trying to be some Russian apologist either for what's going on, but I think some things just don't make sense, right? It's like, okay, so I got an idea. Why don't we just, for world peace, of course, world peace, why don't we ban anything that any Russian has ever invented? And if we could just eradicate all forms of Russian technology, that would bring about true world peace. You know, like, it doesn't make much sense.
It's cancel culture, isn't it? It's just the next level of cancel culture on
Yeah,
the nation state layer.
yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
what why I wanted to bring this up was because this kind of, last week I spoke about how Russia was banned from SWIFT and the payment system, basically banned from the dollar. And now we're seeing that they're banned from everything except, of course, oil, gas, and coal. They're exporting their oil and gas and coal to other countries, which doesn't make sense either. Um, and now you look, I kind of look at this as the ending of the US dollar as the world reserve currency. And because if you look at a country like Russia, if they get taken off of the US dollar as the world reserve currency, then you have to think that a country like China has their eyes wide open of what's going on as well. And if China is looking at what the United States did, the United States can only play these cards one time. And once they've played them, the whole world can see what's going on. And so a country like China knows, okay, maybe we're not actually truly sovereign if we have I think they have $3 trillion of either US treasuries or US dollars. So China, if I was another country or country like China, I would be doing my best to get away from the US dollar. And I'm speaking in purely game theory economics of what should happen or what could happen, as the US dollar as the world reserve currency. And then you tie that into what Jerome Powell said earlier this week or last week. And he spoke and he said that there can be more than one world reserve currency. And so it makes you think maybe he understands that by taking Russia off of everything, is going to create other world currencies and other world reserve currencies. Obviously, I think all roads lead to Bitcoin. But before we get to Bitcoin, there might be some type of CBDC, a central bank digital currency between Russia and China. But eventually what we'll see, and where I think where we'll end up at, is every country will recognize that any currency like the dollar or a central bank digital currency is going to have centralized control from one country, and they're going to want to leave that centralized control. And Bitcoin's perfect because there is no central control, it's decentralized, and you're going to have countries that are going to deal in a currency that can't be canceled, that can't be censored, that can't be taken away from them. And the only currency, the only money that exists in the world is Bitcoin that fulfills all those things. And so I think, that's why I want to talk about in the beginning, what is money, right? What makes a good money? And it's not shoes, it's not laptops. It is Bitcoin, and all roads end up leading down to Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm. And verifiable too, very important, because the trouble with these countries is they don't trust each other, and I don't even think that Russia and China truly trust each other. They might appear to be friends, which is to me debatable, but they still are not going to trust each other. So are they going to use China's central bank digital currency? Are they going to use Russia's? There's a problem. So it just doesn't work. No matter who's controlling that currency, one is going to have to trust the other. And we all know, don't trust, verify. And you're only going to get that what's the word I'm looking for? Neutral thing from Bitcoin. So, you know, I still don't think we're going to see these kind of superpowers wanting to use Bitcoin, especially authoritarian ones like Russia and China. But Bitcoin is ready. It's there, staring them in the face. And I posted a meme last week and said that I didn't think Putin was smart enough to use Bitcoin once he was kicked out of the SWIFT system. So, yeah, that's the way I look at it. Bitcoin is there, it's ready. It's the obvious thing to us Bitcoiners, but I'm not sure they can quite see it yet. They will eventually.
Yep. Yeah. I think the biggest reason why governments, especially, El Salvador understood it and made the switch to legal tender for Bitcoin, right? But the reason El Salvador did it is because they were on a dollar standard already. Where if you look at, like the United States or a country like China or Russia or whatever, these countries, or even the European Union, they have their own money printer. And, and that's the Federal Reserve, right? If you've read The Creature from Jekyll Island and you really understand what the Federal Reserve is, how the Federal Reserve, is the lender of last resort is the name, because they can print as much money as they want. They can print infinite amount of money from zero without any work, without any energy, and money just appears. And so I think that's what is hard for these governments to make, these big governments, these big countries to make the switch to a Bitcoin standard, is because that means that you would have to essentially give up your money printer, which politicians do not want to do. Whether you're right-leaning, left-leaning, no politician wants to give up that luxury of having a money printer. And so I think
that's their drug.
Exactly. It's a drug, and it's very addicting. Once you start using that money printer, it's very hard to wean yourself off of it. And that's what we're seeing right now is, if I
Fiat junkies.
Yeah, fiat junkies. Exactly. So kind of ending it off, I always wanted to just talk a little piece to everyone's mind about price, whether it's going up, whether it's going down. I don't like doing any TA type of stuff, more just Bitcoiners ideas. Right now, to timestamp, in the Canary Islands or in London, the time is 7:28 p.m. on March 7th, Monday evening. And Bitcoin's current price is $37,920.69. So down 2%, 2.5% in the last 24 hours. I saw a tweet the other day. It was from some retired CEO, and Michael Saylor actually responded to it. But I wanted to hear what your response would be, RD. And his tweet was basically, I'm not going to quote it, but his tweet was basically, I'm trying to learn more about Bitcoin, but I don't understand why the price has gone, why the price is moving sideways when you have wars going on, and you have, basically what's going on in Canada, you have what's going on in the macro world, all this money being printed. What would be your response to a question like that when someone's trying to figure out what's, and it's an honest question, what's going on with Bitcoin and what's the price? Because I always look at it like, when you first come into Bitcoin, there's one of two thoughts that you have. One thought is, I don't want to lose all my money. And the second thought is, I want to make a lot of money, So how can we kind of bring that together and kind of explain what's going on, or just say, hey, don't even worry about the price?
Yeah, it's like you said, when you first come in, and if he's first in, I remember you're so focused on price, you don't even understand most or half the fundamentals of Bitcoin. So you're looking for price signal all the time. You're wondering why you've just put a few grand in and
Yeah.
it's gone down 5%, 10%. And yeah, so I remember those days, and it seems like a long time ago now, but so I can't really remember exactly how I was feeling at the time. But yeah, I would say don't even worry about it, man. Like, how long are you in this for? Are you selling next week? Then you need to worry about the price. But if you're
Yeah.
in this for a minimum of 5 years, 10 years, preferable, and when you're in 5 years, you're not even thinking about selling anymore anyway.
No.
And when you're in 10 years, then I don't know. I'm not that far anyway, so I don't know how you're going to feel. But that's what I'd say. I was just like, you're in this for the long run. Just don't look at the price every day. Does not matter. And buy more.
Yeah.
Buy more if
I
it's going down.
I
Yeah.
agree. If price has gone down or it's going sideways, I look at it as a discount. You're buying Bitcoin on sale. It's cheap.
Yeah.
Don't I agree. Right. The first three rules: don't trade the corn, don't short the corn, and never sell your Bitcoin. Never sell it. It's gonna go up. A lot of people look at us, right? If you're buying in 2018 or 2019, like you remember those days. You remember those days of what's happening to the price. Maybe I'm wrong. You know, the market's telling me something different. Some people even say, well, you guys have been in it for a couple of years now, so you guys already saw all the price gains and all the momentum and the upswings. I'm here to say, we're both here to say, we're still early. Bitcoin is still early. You're gonna need it. You're gonna want it. Don't be the person who buys when it's too late. And when it's too late is when it's already shot up past a couple $1,000,000, or when you need to leave your country with all your wealth, or if you just want to be able to say what you want to say and not worry about your wealth being stolen. So again, this is Bitcoiner's Guide. Thanks for coming on, everybody. Episode 2, and we can't wait to see what happens in the coming weeks. Thanks, everybody. From RD_BTC and Big Sean Harris, we're over and out.